Hello, everyone. Welcome to All About Energy. Today, we are joined with Tracie Mahan, my wonderful friend. She is also an international channel, psychic medium, highly tuned empath, clairvoyant, hypnotist, and she's a level 3 practitioner. She's also a family coach, an NLP practitioner, and a wonderful Reiki master with training and practice enabling her to connect with guides, angels, ascended masters, spiritual council, and galactic counterparts. Hello, Tracie.
That was just fun to watch you spit it all out. Right? Get it out there. Hello, Saba, and everyone else. It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to be here today. I'm excited. We have so many topics, I should say, that we've got fun topics to cover today, don't we?
Absolutely. We're gonna nail it. We're gonna talk about it all, you guys. You're gonna be like, oh, I wonder if they'll touch on that, and then we will, and then that'll take that doubt and fear away.
And then we'll go down the rabbit hole, right?
Every rabbit hole we can find. We're gonna dig deep.
All right, perfect. So, what I wanted to start for those that are just learning about you is your channeling. And just to give you guys a little bit of background, I met wonderful Tracie in QHHT, in the QHHT world, which is the hypnosis world. And I was pointed in her direction because I had also experienced some interesting situations. I don't know if we'll talk about that later.
The mystery of Saba continues.
We'll talk, maybe we'll talk about it. But so you're a channel, which I actually love your work. You channel beautiful messages. I mean, lovely messages of love. I've also booked some sessions with you that I've absolutely loved them. I love reviewing them, and the information is just unbelievable. So your channeling, how did it begin for you? That's where I really want to start.
So I'm getting this feeling to take you way, way back and then bring you way forward. Okay.
Yeah.
So there was a time where I would go to this group when I was first getting into anything metaphysical, psychic world, that whole realm. And I met this lady, her name was Sunny, and she did channeled writing. And she was chatting with me one day, and she said, do you want me to channel a letter for you? And I was like, that would be so cool. Well, this is back when like emails and stuff were kind of maybe a thing. So
How many years were we talking?
Oh, I was probably in my 20s. So maybe 30 years ago.
So like 5 years ago? Okay.
Yeah, 5 years ago. So no, it wasn't. It was probably 20 years ago. So she channels out this letter and mails it to me, and so by the time I finally get it, I kind of forgot we had the conversation. So picture this younger version of me going through, oh, that's an aura. Okay. Oh, okay. So how do I tune into loved ones, and how do I do this? And I'm learning these things. I'm a baby at all of this. And she sends me this letter that says, you will one day be a bridge between the galactic federations and humankind.
Wow.
To summarize what she wrote. And I'm looking at that going, I can't even read an aura, and so I don't know what got me to keep the letter, but I kept it. And it was sitting in the drawer and in my desk. And I moved a couple of times between that. I went through a lot of life experiences between that. And so then fast forward, I'm at my level 2 training, 2018. And for QHHT. So I'm doing that training, and they put Kaya up on stage because he was channeling Octurians, and they wanted to show us as a class what it would look like if one of our clients went into a channel. And so he gets up there and he starts channeling the Octurians, and I'm in the very back row. and I'm just twitching and fidgeting, and my head feels funny and it's tingling, and all these things are going on. And I happened to be sitting by Julia Cannon, and I looked at her, I said, there's a lot of energy in this room. And she's like, I know, right? And I'm like, going through it. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it's happening. So then that night we all got together for a little, it was our last day of class. And so we got together for a little bonfire by the river that was nearby. And Kaya and the gal that was kind of organizing that, she got Kaya to come down there, and asked him, can you channel again? Can you bring in the Arcturians again? So he does it again. And sure enough, I'm just doing all these little things. There's a lot more to that story, but fast forward to me getting home after going through these little shifts and body, I don't know, attunements maybe is what you would call it. I get home and I'm like, I got level 2. I'm going to go practice. So I found a practice buddy, and I took her through a session, and then she took me through a session. Well, as soon as I tipped that chair back for my session, all of a sudden, blah, 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 here comes the Arcturians. They're taking me on this tour. They're talking super fast. They're moving me all over the place. And she's like, what's happening? I'm like, I don't know.
Wow.
So anyways, I thought, we went through this whole experience with it. At the end of it, I thought that was just my session, right? I didn't realize that this was something that was going to stick. And so it took another time before that, or after that, where a friend was posting on social media that she was having a really hard day. And I sent her a little note, and I said, do you want to call for a few minutes, see if we can shift this for you so that you don't have to go through this all day long? And so she calls me up, and we start doing this little exercise that I would normally do with somebody to shift the energy. And next thing I know, I'm talking funny, and I'm taking her on all this, and I take her on this journey. And at the end of it, she's like, what do you call that? What kind of session was that? I said, I don't know. I've never done that before. And so then I had to test it, and I tried it again with another friend and say, let's see if this works. Let's set the intention for this to happen. And so that was the birthing of the Ascension sessions with the Arcturians and the one I call Daniel. So my channel is a masculine energy. He is from Arcturus. He is an Arcturian. There's about 7 of them in the council. And every once in a while you'll hear the voice change, and it'll be one of the others, like a feminine one might come in and use me as the channel, but it's usually Daniel. And then if they switch to a different collective, then they'll usually let us know, or I'll know, that I'm now having Syrian council come through, or the Lyrans come through, or some of these other councils. So, but Daniel is my gatekeeper, and his job is to make sure that no lower frequencies will come through, that we are here. My purpose here is to bring the positive flow of information. So we're not going to go look at war. We're not going to go look at politics. We're not going to go look at those things. We're going to be focused on the love. What can we create? How do we heal? How do we move forward? How do we hold high vibrations? And how do we do these things more and more as a society so that we can hold and sustain the 5th dimension and let go and release these fear-based energies? And so that's been my journey
I
since
love it.
yeah.
Wow, Tracie. I did not know probably like more than 50% of the story. So I'm so glad that you shared it right now. What a wonderful journey of yours.
It's been pretty extraordinary, and I feel pretty blessed in it. Yeah. And to have the part that was mind-blowing for me was the day that I went to go change. So the desk I have right now is a different desk than the one that I put that letter in. And when I switched all this stuff over, I found the letter and I read it, and I was like, oh my God, I'm doing all the things she put in this letter. I'm doing them. And it was just like, and remember, she handed me that letter, or she sent me that letter when I was still learning what is an aura color, what does that mean, what's energy. It's like, so, and I came from a Catholic background, so I grew up being taught that this is all voodoo, this is not good stuff. But
And you're, yeah, I'm connecting with things that are just not right,
yeah. Yeah. And once I got into it and felt all the love, all the beautiful energy with it, I was like, I have never felt this way through religion. I have felt this connection with the Christ energy, and with the, I love the saints and angels and those connections, but the actual teachings of the actual church, most of that didn't resonate for me. I'm not going to say none of it did, because I took away a lot of beautiful things from being in the Catholic religion, but it definitely is a different vibration, you know, to just sit in this beautiful space with all this benevolent energy, and then just be able to share it with other people. So I'm very grateful where I'm at, and everything that I went through in my life is what got me here. So I'm grateful for that as well.
And thank you for sharing your love with the planet and everything that you do. It's amazing.
Thank you. And and what Saba's not saying is how much she does the same kind of things. So
Oh,
thank
stop. I do nothing.
Yeah. I don't know anything. I just know she shares a lot of love with the planet.
Mhm. Yes.
Mhm.
Anyhow, yeah, no, I love the journey. And for those that are listening who are just, trying to figure this out and understand what it is, I was so intimidated by the word channel because
Mhm.
I'm from the 70s and 80s. And so there was just, yeah, right? Like, there was so much that we had to um kind of overcome with the word psychic or
Yeah,
medium or channel, right?
right.
Like so many stigmas. I think the generation now is a little bit different. I think it's just for me in particular, I'm just like sharing my experience. It's a little bit different for me because I have to get over those hurdles of what I was watching on TV in the 80s,
Right.
right?
Yeah. So much has changed,
So much.
yeah. Yeah. And, when I got started, I got so blessed with getting, just the most amazing teachers that I could even ever imagine. And the ones that mentored me and stuff. And one of the things that one of my most beloved mentors said to me was, you're going through and doing this, what's taking you years to learn, people, when all the ones that are out there doing this now, because it was hard to find anybody like-minded back in that time frame when I was going through a lot of this. And like, we're talking 90s on up is when I've been playing in this reality. And so, but she said, all the ones that are working on it now are making it so that when when it's time, everyone will be able to fast track. And we're in a time now where I'm seeing people completely fast track, and they'll have as much information as it took me years to get. They'll have that information and they'll have more. And they've been doing it for 6 months. It's like, wow, I've been doing this for 30 years, and so, but I would never trade it, because, it's the people that are putting it out in the world. I didn't write any books or do anything like that, but, I've been working with people and doing as much as I can and the levels that I do. But it's so true. Now we have the internet, we have videos, we have, Dolores Cannon on video talking about her 3 ways of volunteers and her convoluted universes and all of the books, and giving this information out. Is so easy to find now, where when I was doing it, there was no videos like that. It was go to the new age section of the bookstore that looked like this. It's like, which one of these 6 books haven't I gotten yet?
Mm.
And try to learn it that way. And so it's such an amazing transformation. And I know a lot of times people will be like, well, when is this 5D earth coming? When is this new earth coming? And it's like, you have to understand the journey we've been on. Now the information is so much easier to find, but also it is a personal journey to get to that new earth. We're all raising our own vibration and figuring out how to heal ourselves. And when we heal ourselves, then we fall in love with ourselves. We realize what wonderful, beautiful beings we are. And in that, we expand that out. That becomes our 5th dimension, when we're no longer hating everything around us, right? When we're no longer in resistance to what's going on. then we're in 5D. You let go of the resistance, you're in it. So what do you have to say about that, Saba? I would like to know your opinion when you learn.
Ah, well, I was just loving hearing you. There's so much information right there. I mean, really, first of all, thank you for paving the way for people like myself that called really upset and worried if I was okay when my journey started. Okay.
Yeah,
I was so grateful to have someone to call to say, like, am I okay? Um, did I make this up? Like, what just happened to me?
yeah. Do
Um,
I need medication? Do I
maybe
need
it's
to-
a doctor. Like, legit, if someone said, you probably should go see it, I would be like, okay, because I just didn't understand. I was so
Yeah,
vulnerable. And to have such a great person who's paved the way to say, you know what, you're okay.
yeah,
It's all right. Really was a major support. And so many other friends as well in this community
very
that
much true.
supported
Yeah.
me on my journey as well. But you're a major player on that when I started my journey through channel. Yeah. Um,
Mhm.
I still do it in the closet. I'm in the closet, so to speak. Um, one day that might change, but for now, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I do sessions for friends. I do for some clients, and I'm okay with it right now. But you help me make it be okay. So thank you for that, because
You are welcome, and thank you for trusting me with that.
well, you're a piece of every session that I do because you were someone who helped me, and especially Julia as well. Because Julia's like, you're okay.
Mhm.
You're right, Saba. So,
Yeah. You're not losing it. You're okay. This
all
is
right.
this is normal. There's also, if you are new to this, there is resources out there. If you're going through symptoms, there's actually websites called Symptoms of the Shift, and they will help you understand some of the symptoms. If you're getting foggy brain, or you're having other issues or whatever, go look it up. It might be under that, and it'll tell you why you're having that symptom.
Let's
So
talk about a symptom. Now that something just rung up in my mind. I remember before this whole shift happened for me with doing QHHT. Before that, I was just kind of in my own wonderful, naive world, right? And I mean that jokingly, but but it is work. Like, once you all of a sudden become aware of what is really going on, and then the lessons start because you're aware of the lessons, right? Before, you were just reactionary to every circumstance. So let's say someone has an argument with their sibling, or another loved one. Now it's just a reaction, like, I'm so frustrated with them. I can't believe it. La, 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 la. And so now, after you're aware of it, you're like, oh, what's what's that teaching me? And where do I
Mhm.
need to look for that? And so, is this a
Yes.
pattern? Um, is this, have we done this in another life together? Are we going to keep doing it? Do I want to stop the pattern?
Or I want
And
to
it's
stop
like,
it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so all of a sudden your mind just goes, you know,
Here-
"Ah,
Here's what I tell people that are having a hard time forgiving somebody. Okay. This is a quick resolve for, I'm really having a difficult time forgiving this person. And I say to them, oh, okay, so you want to come back in another life and do it again?
oh yeah, such a
Put
good,
it in perspective, you guys. What is that lesson there for? Why did you go through that experience? You're meant to go deeper with that, find that forgiveness, move out of this pattern. That's why we're here as volunteers, because humankind got stuck in the karmic patterns and they couldn't get out. And so we came to help.
yeah.
So, or
Don't
at
you
least
love it?
one of the theories.
Yeah,
So,
it's one of the theories, but aren't you kind of like relieved for a client that comes in for hypnosis, and they come in, they're so upset at their ex-spouse. They can't stand it, and they talk about that during the session. Then they go into hypnosis and they see that ex, that they wronged that ex in another life,
of their life.
really bad, probably worse,
Yep.
and they're here to figure this out again.
Yeah.
And then they
So
go
many
out of a
times.
session, their whole reality's rocked. They look at you dazed afterwards because they just spent 15 years hating someone and their whole existence was spent there. And then
Mhm.
you're like, you just look at them like, I know that's a lot to process.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot for people because they're always, when we're hurt, when we get hurt by something someone else has done, I mean, we're not innocent in this either. We've all had human reactions. We get hurt by something. We don't sit there and go, I wonder if I did this to them in another life. But odds are you did, or to somebody else like that, or whatever you're going through is a mirror. Like I had somebody that was feeling like they're not being heard, they're not being heard, they're not being heard. And then it turns out that they're not listening over here on the other hand. So where they're wanting to be heard, it's being a mirror to them where they're not listening. They're also the one that's not listening. So they had to reflect on that and go, oh, I see. I'm not listening when my children are trying to tell me something or talk to me or, engage with me, but I'm getting mad when my spouse isn't doing that to me. And now I'm doing it to the children. So, it's all mirroring to you something, but she had no clue she was doing that to the children till that surfaced. And then she's like, oh, I'm not listening to my kids. So it's being mirrored back to me from somebody I want to hear me. So
Right.
it's so
Right.
cool the way that everything out there is talking to us, right? It's all talking to us. So, start paying attention to your life. Who's the people? What are the conversations? What are the things that are going on?
Who's your
And
arch nemesis?
the arch
Do you,
nemesis.
do you want them to be your arch nemesis in the next life? I don't.
Well, and we've been going through this, all these planets that have been shifting and changing, and we moved into the age of Aquarius, and now we're just really getting all the stuff to surface so that we can all heal it. And right now, there's just been a lot of, for lack of a better word, a lot of people going through chaos, and it's showing up for you. So start figuring it out. Start looking at why is that here. I had an experience the other day where I was having I don't want to say it's meditation because it kind of happens when I'm not expecting it. So like I'm going to bed and put my head on the pillow and I hear this, you need to manipulate the energy around that. Now manipulate sounds like a hard word, but what it's saying is you can control this. Do you want more of the same or do you want to change it? I'm like, well, I want to change it. Well, what do you want to change it to? I want this over here, not this over here. Okay, so which one are you putting your energy on? Yeah, I've been focusing on that. So let's go over here. So I did a whole clearing on the energy of what I didn't want, letting it go, seeing it transmute, do the whatever my process is. And everybody's got their own process. So, and then I started focusing on the other energy, and almost instantly, instantly, the energy of my home changed. And
Wow.
then I started noticing that interactions in the home were changing as well. So what we need to understand is how much power our thoughts have, and where are our intentions going? Where's that subconscious mind taking us? And it will loop this back into hypnosis. Sometimes we don't realize when our subconscious is in control of the manifestation, because we're working in that subconscious part of the mind probably 85 to 90% of the day.
Mhm.
And we're only really fully conscious of what's going on around us 10 to 15% of the day, right? Because we're driving a car, reading a book, watching TV, eating
It's
eating
running the show.
it's
Yeah.
all of it. Yeah. And so when what we don't realize is that our subconscious is on autopilot in the manifesting mode. It's manifesting all of our belief systems and all these things that we've collected over all these years. So when we can start getting very conscious about what did I just create here, and where did that come from? Where did that belief come from? Where did that story come from? And like literally I've had my past right here in my face for the last probably 5 days. And I got to look at how do I change this? How do I heal this part? Instead of going into reaction, I did what you said. I'm like, oh, why is that here? What's that showing up for? What's happening? How do I move this energy? How do I heal that part? And going through the processes of letting that stuff go. And it's been really interesting. I'll just say that, to watch it happen like that. And so then I get up yesterday morning after hearing the night before, when I'm going to bed, just manipulate the energy. I wake up, I look at something on YouTube, and right below it is a banner from QHHT with Dolores Cannon and a quote that says, "You're in Earth School. You're here to learn how to manipulate the energy."
Ah, you can't make
And
this
I was just like, you can't make that up. I just literally got the message last night, and then I wake up and here it is on a banner.
unless
So,
AI,
so
unless
take it
AI is
away.
that intelligent that it can read minds now. Okay. And it can
I'm
show you an
yeah.
ad according to what you were thinking. Who
Well,
knows?
they were smart enough to stick Dolores Cannon's face on it, so we'll take it. So
Sorry, so right. Okay, that's better. Woo, my eyes.
she's going blind. Or I'm just getting brighter to her, and we'll
Well,
take that.
well, what's happening is while you're talking, I'm just like this pulsing energy is like, woof, and I'm just mesmerized by you because as you're talking with your energy, talking about moving and manipulating energy and all this, and I'm just like in this vortex with you, and I just feel this energy pulsing. So
Yeah.
those listeners, if you're feeling energy moving while you're watching, definitely comment below because it's a very powerful conversation we're having right now, and I love it.
Well, it's very empowering because we are creating the experiences, right? Like,
Right.
you could say something really snarky to me right now, and I have a choice. If you were to say, "Tracie, I can't stand what your hair right now. It's driving me nuts." I could be like, "Oh my God," and get real self-conscious about it. Or I could be like, "She's so jealous." No, I'm just kidding. But, I get to choose how I'm going to respond to what just happened. And if I'm like, wow, that was so mean, and now I'm feeling really sad, and da da da, that would be an opportunity for me to go, why did that trigger me? Oh, yeah, because I had a relative when I was, 6 years old that used to do my hair, and she would say things about my hair, and now I feel self-conscious about it. So when you pulled that hair comment out, now I feel bad. None of that happened, by the way. I had just kidding.
Your
Unless
family
I'm in
listening,
Hawaii, then my hair is like way out here. It's like, why?
your family's listening, going, "Who did her hair? What
Who did her
the
hair? Um,
Tracy talking about?"
so yeah, so it's like you don't know. You don't know what's a trigger and what's not a trigger. But when you get that trigger, you gotta figure it out, and do that inner work, because once you do, then you could just, you know, badmouth my hair all day, and I'd be like, okay, whatever.
It's
Because
exhausting
it's
though.
not a trigger anymore.
It's exhausting. This, excuse me, bleep, 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 bleep thing is exhausting. It's exhausting because it's like there was times last year where I was like, I can't. Like this is so much work.
Mm-hmm.
You work on this wonderful lesson, you do it, and you're crying your butt off, and you're just like, this hurts. And then you find
Yeah.
where this was birthed in this pattern, and then you reverse engineer it, and then you're like, "Poof, it's gone." You catch a deep
You're
breath, and then
like,
another one pops up. And
phew.
what the heck, man? What?
Will tell you, hang in there. I mean, yeah, life is happening, and we're in duality. We're in Earth School. We're going to have controversies and different things happening. Um, as you keep raising your vibration, and this, maybe we can segue this into the healing conversation too, because as we keep raising our frequency, and I hate to use the word raising because it sounds like it's above anything else. Everything is just an experience, right? So if you're in 2D, 3D, 4D, 5D, whatever it is, it's just another experience. It's just another key on the piano, right? We need all the keys. So I always kind of imagine changing frequencies going horizontal, not up and down. There's no hierarchy in it. But as we move out of density and into something lighter, then it gets easier. And then the lighter you get, it gets easier and it gets easier. Imagine all your trauma is a truckload of rocks. And every time you do that, you get to unload a bunch of rocks, right? It gets lighter and then it's easier. And then you unload again, lighter and easier. And then you get to the point where you're down to that last layer of rocks and the residue, right? And so it does get easier. It's not to say that I'm not faced with challenges, after doing this for 30 years. Of course, I have things that make me slap my head and go, everything was going so well. What just happened? What happened? So it's like, what? Wait, that was left field. You got me again. But I, I get to, now I'm so much better at, okay, I'm going to go separate myself and figure out how I'm going to respond to this. And it's amazing because I can sit with it, and maybe this last time and the next time will be completely different as to how I respond, because each thing carries a different weight, right? Like, what are we responding to? When we were in Hawaii, I got a phone call I got a text message that my dad's having a heart attack.
Oh,
I have to figure out how to respond to that. That's all I know. And in hindsight, what was happening is that's the only message that could come through, because my mom was on 911 trying to get an ambulance there for him. All of this being told to me, but none of what my dad was actually doing. I didn't know, is he laying on a floor? Did he fall over? What happened? What's going on? Well, he's walking around going, okay, we need to get I'm on these prescription drugs. We're going to need to bring those with us, and da-da-da. And he's actually walking around, but what was happening is he felt a pressure on his chest and heartburn and all the things that they say go in.
yeah.
So I'm not getting any of that information though, right? So here I am on the trip going, do I need to fly home? Do I need to make arrangements? Luckily with something like that, the turnaround of updates is pretty quick. So within a couple of hours, he had surgery. They put 2 stents in. He did have some blockages. He was smart to go in, saved his life. And I was able to get the message within a couple of hours that he's fine and everything's good, sending pictures of him smiling and waving, that kind of thing. So that all went good. But for 2 hours, I had to wonder if my dad was okay. Is he alive? What's going on? Nobody has any updates. What's happening? And those are really surreal moments where you just have to be present. And for that time frame, I just was asking in my mind, is everything going to be okay? And it's like, yeah, he's fine. But we hear those things, and then we're like, am I just saying that in my head because I want it to be true? Am I saying that, all these things, we all go through them. We're going to doubt ourselves sometimes. We're going to wonder sometimes. And then I had a friend say, I just tuned into your dad and his heart's really strong. He's not going anywhere for a long time. And that just gave me some comfort, right? It's like, thank you for giving me little angel to come whisper in my ear something comforting. And then shortly after that, I got the information he was okay. And so I know that there was another version of me that could have totally panicked, that could have, ran through anxiety, did all kinds of different things with that energy, with that information. There was a version of me that would have done that in the past. And this version of me was like, okay, even if this is his decision to leave the planet at this time, I have to respect that he, blah, blah, blah. And just be very as in the
Surrender.
moment as I could be with it.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's never fun, as when you get those messages that a loved one is in the hospital. That's scary. And especially if you're far away and you don't know when you can get over there. So there's a lot to be done with, our worlds can be turned upside down in as quick as a text message, right? And as quick as a phone call. So that's where we play in this energy of where do we want to take that. Sometimes we can be in more control of it than others, depending on what's going on. But being in a vibration of knowing that we are supported, knowing that we are helping in the design of these things, and knowing that we have these versions of ourselves, like we have a higher self, we have that soul part to us that knows the bigger picture. And my lessons lately is to how much faith am I putting in that higher self that knows the bigger picture? Am I trusting that the things that are in alignment right now are in place, that the things that are happening are in the highest good? or am I questioning everything? And I don't know about you guys, but when I go into, okay, I don't like what's happening right now, I tend to lay it out the way I want it. I would rather have it like this, and this. And over the years, I've learned that I don't know all the answers. And that maybe what I should be asking for is, can you bring this in the highest and best good for everybody? And when we can let go of our attachment to how it ends or what happens and start going into, just bring it into the highest and best good for everybody. Bring that into the highest and best good. And, you know, maybe they get the healing, maybe they don't get the healing, or what we believe the healing is, you know, my attachment to what that healing was supposed to be.
Yeah, I actually want to jump in on that healing portion. I touched about on it a little bit on the interview I did with Julia and yourself. Thank you again for having me on. And that was one of my healings. I kept doing session because we're practitioners. So I paired up with one of my buddies about this vertigo that I had,
Yeah.
and it just would not resolve. And I needed that to happen because I met one of my most amazing teachers that I've known lifetimes. He's a doctor, a Chinese medicine doctor. And
Mm,
he basically was a part of information that I needed to run things smoother for time to, for future times for me, because there was a lot of adjustments that I needed to do. And so I'm so grateful that I didn't get the healing in the session
yeah.
way I was looking for it, like mail order, like I'm at McDonald's, I'm ordering a healing. I want my healing, want my healing. Like, why is it healing everything else? Why aren't they healing this? Why aren't they talking about it? Well, I needed to be in a situation where I was, this is such a bad word, probably, but like desperate enough to be open to all the information I was going to receive from one of my teachers.
Yeah.
And so I can make adjustments. And he basically held my hand, took me to the next phase of healing. And when I look at the big picture, I'm like, oh my God, that's perfect. So it's like when we have clients come in, even for hypnosis, and they're like, I was really wanting to heal this, in our work, we know like that can mean so much more. We don't know, like they're probably going to turn into an avenue where I've had clients, they start a modality and all of a sudden become a practitioner in a new modality and
Yeah.
heal themselves. And now they have this whole new business,
Right.
right? So yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know. I just wanted to share that because sometimes people walk away in any healing modality that they come in for, like for example, you do Reiki or what have you, and they're like, it's just not sticking or it's not working out. I mean, what do you have to share about that?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I have the perfect story to tell for that. So Reiki's been something that I've done for a lot of years. That was one of the first modalities I ever learned. So that one I've had under my belt for a long time. And way back, I had a friend who I think it was her stepdad, but father, we'll just call her dad. He had cancer and he was in a lot of pain. So her and I would go over and we would run Reiki on him, and she would stand at his head and I would stand at his feet or whatever, and we would do Reiki. And then on the days we couldn't get there, we'd get on the phone at night together and we would just visualize having Reiki with him and running energy on him. And we were having really profound experiences with it. Like we were feeling this energy intensely. And he would give her feedback and say, you must have worked on me last night. I slept really well. And so he was giving her this feedback and confirmation. And then he ends up passing away. And so me being pretty new at all of this, I was sitting in my meditative state asking, why didn't he get his healing? And what came back was, why do you think he didn't get a healing? I said, because he
Mm,
died. And they said, yeah, and that transition went much smoother for him because you cleared all that other energy. So he was able to transition very smoothly. And the healing work you did with him helped him to move into the other world with ease. So
wow.
sometimes we don't even understand that the work we're doing is healing even when we do lose the loved one, that it was very important to clear energies or help them sort through some things. And just him being in that allowing for us to work with him that way was opening him up for so much more than what we were bringing, because there were so many people that were praying for him and sending him love and all this stuff. So when he decided to receive it, it all came pouring in on him, and I got to see this most amazing light around him, and how that changed the experience he had as he transitioned. And I never looked at it the same again. I'm like, now I understand, you're getting what you need right now, and we may not get to see it in a physical change. And that saying, God's more concerned about working on you than your situation. And that's so true. It's like, when we're going through something and we're faced with something and it's not changing, there's a reason for that. There's something there that we're being birthed into a new part of our evolution, into our ascension process, into evolving. And if we were to take the shortcuts, we're not going to get the same experience with it. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so much going on that we don't know behind the scenes.
We don't. As a practitioner, we also have to detach from that. Like you said, like you were questioning, like, oh my gosh, I did all this work. Why did he have to still transit? Because we get emotionally attached to our clients' outcome of like, we want them to have what they came here for. And that was a big lesson for me in QHHT, learning to detach from my client if they were like, didn't receive it the way they understood it at this time, because there's timelines. I mean, things have to go like I received so much information, so blessed to come across Dr. Kamal, because there were so many things medically that I needed to really understand with my body energetically, that he
Mm,
broke it down for me and took me to the next level.
yeah.
And then in his teaching, when I ask him questions, some esoteric ones, I understand it better. And I appreciate the fact that I had that delay and I had to go through vertigo. I'm like, why aren't they healing it? I got very upset. I remember being frustrated, going, what is the deal? And so with the client, with you as a practitioner, it's important to like really detach from any of the outcomes and trust that they got exactly what they were supposed to get at that time.
Absolutely. And that is a hard lesson as a facilitator of any modality, is to let go of your attachment to your client's outcome. They're getting exactly what they need. Have you ever had those moments where you're like, oh my God, why did I say that? Why did I say that? And then later you find out that that's the thing you said that stuck with them. They went home with, they had to mill through it. And then they had this big thing happen. And it's like, okay, phew, but there's times where, we say, let me be of service. And then you're used in a way that's like, why did I say that thing or do that thing that created this ripple and this upset? Because you said, you told spirit you would be of service, and so spirit need to use you in this way to rattle their cage and get them out of this other way of thinking. And so, yeah, it looked like conflict or drama or something for a while, but then when it all resolved and the dust settled, then you get to see why you were used in that way and the soul growth that came from it. Or for yourself as well, there'd be things that you do. And that's the other thing too, is there's always something mirroring in these sessions that we do and the people that we meet and the places that we go. There's always something there that's going to be mirrored back. So it's always an exchange, and it's a beautiful thing to welcome a client in. I don't know if you do this, but when I have a client showing up, rather it's through the ascension sessions or QHHT, I'm always wondering what I'm going to learn about myself today. What am I going to learn today about me? I wonder what this person's bringing to the door for me to look at. And almost every time, like, I'm sitting there, because I'm relating to everything they're saying. And it's powerful to hear what their answers are and how can I apply that for myself as well. And so, I mean, we live in this amazing universe that is always bringing us something. There's little pearls and treasures everywhere, and we get to do some of the most fascinating work, if you ask me, where we're diving into all of this and we're reaching things that nobody's reached before. We're going places nobody's been before and exploring these parts of ourselves, these other dimensional versions of us, this connection that we have outside of the physical being that we're so attached to at this time. And it's an incredible journey.
It absolutely is. And I have to say, I'm so thankful for this community, whether it's QHHT or a couple other groups that I belong to, because it's helped me on my healing journey. Major difference on processing. You were right there when my dad passed, around the time my dad passed away. And it was really interesting how you all ended up, because we had plans in my hometown,
Yeah.
my house, when that whole process was going down. But I will say that because I was on the journey that I am now, I was able to process my dad's transition completely different than when I didn't have this part, when my sister transitioned. Completely different sabas. Okay. And
Wow.
understanding what I understand now, I was able to process his transition with ease. I mean, it was super hard. Like, don't get me wrong, I cry my,
Oh yeah.
of course, but there's a lot more of comprehension because I have clients that come in, and when we, part of what we do is we take them through their life scenes, and then there's the end of life scene, which we take them over to the other side and they can share what they've learned from that past life. And it's unbelievable because a lot of my clients sometimes, I mean, a lot of them actually don't know what happens afterwards. And they're
Yeah.
just raw, going in, and they all have these similar stories. So it
Mm.
helps the healing for me, which is what started my journey anyways, to search, because when my sister left, I was like, where did she go?
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
need to know. I need to know. Like, I don't want to hear it from religion or from this person or that person. I need to see where she went.
Yeah.
Right. And so that started my search. And she was the catalyst, really. And then got me to this point of processing losing someone and understanding the big picture on it.
Yeah. She
So
touched so many lives and was able to continue with this beautiful work of helping you in your expansion. But here's something that was shown to me, and this is going to be up to everyone to decide if this fits for them or not. But I was shown one time when I was doing mediumship, um, that we greet our loved ones on the other side because we're just one aspect of our soul. And so our
mm,
soul, when I leave, you might be there going, "Hey, Tracie," or vice versa, whichever one goes first. We're going to high five it over there because there's a version of us over there bringing you home, bringing me home, bringing our loved ones home. So that to me was so comforting to find out that when someone I care about is crossing over, that I'm going to be on the other side and this side and be able to be there and greet them and help them through that transition until they remember where they're at, because there is that little spell. Is that consistent with your sessions too, where there's this little period where they leave the body, they're kind of looking at everything as they're going out of the body, and they're still kind of not in the
yeah,
all-knowing.
I've had sessions where they're like, hold on. And they're like, wait a minute. And then they look at their body and they're like, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Oh, I just left my body. What?
Yeah. A
Oh my
lot of
gosh.
times, a lot of times they're floating over their body, and
Yeah.
they're just floating over the body. It's already happened. That's the scene they go into. They're looking at their body, they're looking at their loved ones.
Yeah.
And then, so where do you go from here? And then, I don't know, a lot of mine go to the waiting room, is what I call it. It's like this big white room where they just get to rest for a minute before they go talk about what they're going to do next.
Yeah, mine's been all over the place. Some of them are met by someone right away. Some of them are not. Some of them go to a waiting area. Some of them go right into life review, which I'm like, geez, they just transitioned. They have to go to life review now. And
Yeah.
they're, crying because they're seeing, how it hurt someone. It's such a multi-dimensional learning experience when you do quantum healing hypnosis technique. What a perfect
Absolutely.
name, because there's so many levels to it, isn't there?
Oh, so many, so many. You're in so many different dimensions in that work. If you're going to a past life, a current life, a forward life, a alternate reality, different world, all these different ways that you can go. And sometimes you're water, you're air, you're a tree. People don't think that they're going to be experiencing being a rock. And those can be some of the best experiences. It's like, what are you? I'm a grain of sand. I can feel myself being rocked back and forth by the water. And it's like, it's so interesting that we can be the smallest of small things. We can be an atom. I had somebody being an atom or a cell, being a cell. And what an extraordinary, I'm like, what in the heck are we going to get out of being a cell? And here it ends up being this extraordinary light and, or consciousness or whatever it is, the awareness of what it was like to be a cell. And so, yeah, there's just
That's
extraordinary
amazing.
journeys.
That's
Yeah,
amazing. That's very beautiful, actually.
it really is. Because
Universe within a universe. And what are you? A
like,
cell on a body. A
well,
universe.
if you think about it, we think of the universe as out here, right? But yet, what do we do when we want to astral travel? We close our eyes to go out. But if you close your eyes and go in, what does that do? It's the same infinite travel, isn't it? And
Mm.
so you're right when you say universe within a universe. We are a universe. Our bodies are a universe, living within a universe, within another universe. And it's so, there's so much.
Oh no, there's so much. We could be on here for hours. There's one thing I really want to share. I'm being so nudged in this direction to share with you. Um, you know, I want to share this moment that's a very intimate, private moment that I shared with my dad as he was getting ready to transition. It was the day that I got to see him. It was during COVID time, so it was a little tricky to get in to see him. And I arrived in the room and he was on life support. And it was like a complete shock to me on what I saw, because I didn't see I saw him in his soul, not his soul in him. So
Mm,
people say that a lot, like your soul is not in you, you're in your soul. You're just a small aspect living a human experience. And
yeah.
so that's why all about energy, that's what one of the things I say, that you're just living a human experience, your energy living a human experience. And so when I saw that, like with my own eyes, because I saw him take up the whole room and I just saw him as a small aspect of his grand soul, I recognized his essence. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's one of my greatest teachers. I didn't see him because there was already something happening, like with his body and his soul, so to speak, that I can see there was a shift. And so I was like, wow, this is one of my greatest teachers. And I didn't see the labels, none of them: father, grandfather, friend, nothing. It all just melted away. And
Mm,
I bowed down and I was like, okay, all right, you were my teacher. And an amazing experience to be able to have witnessed. I'm so grateful that my dad shared that with me, to let me see who he was so that I can help understand what it means to be a soul on this planet. We get so caught up with all these labels, and then there's attachments. Like you said with your dad, you could have reacted in a completely um attached way and just lost your what, and just
yeah.
said I can't, and just been completely reactive. Or you could have sat with it and said, okay, let me sit with this. And you weren't attached to anything. And I'm sure you had your moments, but you weren't
Right.
attached to it necessarily. You just sat with it for a minute. And there's so much that can happen in that moment that kind of makes the experience go won't. And then all of a sudden it unfolds this reality that is a completely different reality. And so for me, that's what we call 5D, right? It's like,
Yeah.
what is it to mean to be there? Well, it's understanding the world, not seeing it through your wounds and your fears, and really completely detaching from the outcome and just really being present with what
Mm,
you're seeing. And then how do you see it? You see it when you're not handling it with your wounds and you're
yeah.
not viewing the world in a reactive state.
It's beautiful. Yeah. And um I'm not sure if I didn't really make this a public thing, but we just about a week and a half ago, our 17-year-old dog, it was time to say goodbye to him.
Oh,
And it's like, again, we go through this experience, we go through um like, this has been part of my family. My youngest son is 18, so he has had this
right, Tracy.
animal his entire life, right? And so as we're saying our goodbyes, um there was this piece of knowing he had this great life. And instead of going into this grieving about it, it was really interesting because I had in your sharing and your experience with that, um, the whole family, when we were sitting there in the room with him, and the vet comes in and does what he needs to do, and the transition happens. Yeah, I could feel him leaving. And then I get in the car, and my son that went with me is all of a sudden, that loss is very real to him, and he is really responding to that reaction, right? Like, it really just hit him. And so I'm holding compassion for him, but I'm the one driving home. And I'm like, I am feeling so light right now. And all of a sudden I realize I'm feeling like the dog feels now, like, oh my gosh, I'm out of that body. And I feel like I can go do these things. And it's like, when we understand and we can celebrate with them, then they can celebrate with us.
Mm.
And I know we need our grieving processes. And I know that there was a moment where we all got together with, everybody's got their pictures on their phones now, right? And we were going through our pictures, going, oh, look at this one of him, and look at that one of him. And then we'd all cry for a little bit. And then we'd be like, okay, now look at this one of him. And so we we're having our moments with that. But at the same time, if we can understand that it's graduation day, right? Like, this is a graduation out of this world into something, we we're evolving that day. We get to go evolve into something else. And that's a celebration. And so I love it now that people say celebration of life versus funeral. um it changes that energy. It helps to anchor it in that this is a celebration. We're gonna miss this person. We're gonna You miss your dad. you
Yeah.
know there's moments where his pictures come up, and or something reminds you of him, and you're just gonna be in those moments. But then you also give him the opportunity, because you're celebrating him as well, that he can come in a different way and bring you that, but I'm here, and this is a beautiful thing. And now I'm helping in all these other ways, and I'm still with you. And you give them the opportunity to be able to show you that. I mean, if you think about back before any of us even could believe that way, before I ever believed that way, losing a loved one meant, there is no communication there with them anymore. And we know now that we can have that, and that they
You
can
wouldn't
witness these little signs.
you wouldn't have felt that energy of what your dog felt to be out of his body had you not done that. I would not have seen dad being a small aspect of his grand soul and that
Right.
his existence. I wouldn't have seen that had I not entered into this world where, I could see like, okay, there's a big picture here,
Yeah, such a
right?
beautiful picture. what an extraordinary experience to get to have with your dad, and to be open to that experience.
One
And
thing I want to touch on too is, sometimes when people grieve, they're grieving on the last moments of their loved one.
yeah,
Okay. So there's a lot of trauma around different ways that souls have planned for their exit. Sometimes there's like, and so the left ones are left with that image in their mind of how it went down. And so I'm going to share a story on mine on where I just kind of took my mind and went, whoa, back it up, Saba. Was my dog Valentine, which you got to meet
yes,
right around when you were here at my place. And so Valentine had to also transition. So we took her to the vet, and the vet did it in a way that I found that was it wasn't great. Okay.
mm,
I didn't care for it. And so um, it kind of took me into a very low vibration. And it was like things
yeah,
went like this, slowing down and just kind of went into an icky place. And I remember getting in the car and going, nope. And I just kind of opened it up again and went, no, 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 no. Different reality. We are not focusing on her last 5 minutes.
yeah,
We're not, because our loved ones are so much more than the last 5 minutes.
exactly.
Your
It-
beautiful love of your life, your dog, your amazing soul, your baby was so much more than those last moments.
yeah,
With all those wonderful memories. And so I thought to myself, no, I literally had a choice on going on this reality or going on that reality. And I saw it. I saw it. I was like, that's going to be a very hard road to grieve on. And I
hmm,
said, which timeline am I choosing?
yeah. I think I remember, like when I was there and I got to hold her and you were asking, can you pick anything up on that? And it was just like, yeah, you just need to slow down and hold her and pet her or something like that. Not understanding where that was leading you. And
You
it
didn't
was,
even remember until I told
I
you.
did. Yeah. You were like, you said these things. And I'm like, I don't remember even, I remember holding your dog. I don't remember what I said.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I called you and I was like, Tracy, this is what happened. And do you remember you told me to hold her? And I said to you, I'm so grateful for you delivering that message, because I would have held on to guilt of not holding her more or loving her more or giving her more attention. And of course I can analyze myself and be like, man, I should have been this,
Yeah.
that. It's the human condition of shoulda, coulda, woulda. That's all I say to that. But I'm so grateful for you delivering that message, because I slowed down.
You did. You slowed down. You were holding her and
Yeah.
petting her, giving her more attention and just being with her. And
Mhm.
then it came so clear to you when it was time to say goodbye that how important that was, because you were so busy in your life that she would try to follow you around or do things. And it was like, not right now, not right now. And I find myself doing that too. And I have to stop. Your session and that situation has helped me in so many ways because I remember it and then I'm like, nope, I need to slow down. I need to stop. There, I come in the door and they all want to say hi to me. And so I stop and I pet them and I say hello to them, and then everyone else can have me. It's like, but it does. It reminds us in every facet of our life. It's like it's a reminder, slow down, have those conversations, make those phone calls, go visit the loved ones, do the things, because the hustle and bustle stuff, you're not even going to remember what you did. You're not going to remember what had you in such a hurry. You're just going to remember that you wish you would have spent the time different.
Right. Right. Because we think about the stuff that we couldn't do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you don't have to do that. You don't have that. And
Mhm.
with our dog Narlin, we knew he was getting ready to transition. When we got back from Hawaii, my son said, he's not eating the same. He can't eat the regular dog food. We need to change up his diet. And we knew we had a limited time with him at this point because he was starting to show us signs. And we just spent like the whole week just picking him up, holding him, packing him around, patting him, feeding him whatever delicious thing he wanted to eat. He got lots of
Oh,
rotisserie chicken and different things like that, like whatever
all the
a dog would love to
sodium.
eat. Yeah, I'm like, it doesn't matter at this point, right? Here you go, have it, have it, have it. And he just got to spend like a week being loved on and extra loved on, because we always do that anyway. But he got a little bit extra, he got fed a little bit extra, all the things. And then on the last day, he had a stroke. So, because my rule with them is you got to make it really obvious, because just because you're old doesn't mean, or, he was getting hard of hearing, hard of seeing, and but he would walk upstairs and downstairs, and he would find his way to the food dish and the water. And if I was by the refrigerator, I dang well better know he was standing behind my feet when I go back up, because he knows that refrigerator. But on the last day, he let us know. He had the stroke. He was comfortable, and that was such a blessing to me. Because he had the stroke, he had like the vertigo. He couldn't stand up on his own, and he would be tipping and stuff. So we just held him. He was comfortable. Got him to the vet, and sometimes you got to wait a while at the vet. And so, but he was comfortable. He wasn't whimpering. He wasn't in pain. He was just sleeping. And then when he did wake up, he couldn't get himself to even sit upright. And so we knew we were making the right choice. And I'm like, thank you for that, because it's so hard to make those choices, and try to decide. And like with your little dog, I remember she was having the vertigo thing and
It was
nerve
bad.
or something,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it's okay, because they don't have the same attachments we do to the whole crossing over thing. They're like, okay, that we did that. Now what's next? Where's the next body? Or when are we coming back? And I've had animals return to me and show me that they were the other dog. Like I'll get pictures of the other dog in my head, and then all of a sudden I'm realizing, oh, they're trying to show me that this dog came back. And actually the little Chihuahua I have now, I've had her at least 2, possibly 3 other times in my entire lifespan, like from child
Wow.
on up. And I was like, were you this dog? Were you, and always picking the same color. That's the interesting thing. Like, wait a minute, you've got a theme with this color that you pick. And such a cute, sweet, beautiful soulmate animal, and that's what we have too. Something to talk about is, I think we have soulmate animals for those of us who really like to have the animals around us. I love all of them, but then there's this, like, there will be this one that's like, that's mine. Like my dragon. I call her my incarnated dragon. She's my, so. But anyways, so many things to talk about. But frequency, I think, is the bottom line of everything we're talking about, is what frequency are we holding? What choices are we making? And to remember that we're here having experiences, and if we can do our best to take the charge out of those experiences and step back from it for a minute, and not make it right or wrong, good or bad, what's happening? Why
Yeah.
is the experience happening?
Yeah. I've been asked this many times. You're handling your dad's, they say death, I say transition, same, I
Yeah,
guess.
I don't like that word.
I don't like it either, because it's like,
Yeah.
you didn't die. Energy doesn't die. Like
Yeah.
energy is forever and ever. So, when he transitioned, the question was like, wow, how are you doing that? It's like, oh my God, I've put in like so much work over all these years. Like I had a fast track through, this world. And so I put in so much work to be able to be in that space where I'm not losing my, reacting from that place. And I was so blessed to have done the work to be able to see what I saw. And so for those listening who are hearing Tracie speaking about losing such a beautiful soul, that transition, not losing, but, was there for that transition. How do you do it? Well, it's because of all the work.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
that work that's put in beforehand. And
That-
let's say you didn't handle it that way. And all that means is, oh, I need to work on something.
Well, and here's another thing to think about. We are taught to grieve the way we do.
Yeah.
We're taught that. If we were taught that this is transition and it's beautiful and it's an amazing thing that's going on, we're gonna respond to that. It's not, again, right or wrong, good or bad. That was the experience we had. We were taught that this is a loss and we're not gonna, this person's gone, and we're going to do the ceremonies around it and all the things, and then we go through the grieving, and we are going to go through grieving. I'm not saying that. I don't want to minimize grieving, because it's a real
So
thing.
important. It's the
So
human
all the versions
experience.
of it. Yeah, that is a real thing. And our love for these souls that aren't going to be in our lives anymore is a real thing, and we're going to go through those processes. But wouldn't it be beautiful if we lived in a world that taught us more about the nurturing aspects of the soul is transitioning, and they can show you that they're okay, they can give you messages, you can still communicate with them in other levels or other planes, and get more of that information. That would be a different reality for us. We would still grieve the loss of them, but we'd also be celebrating their graduation in a different way.
Right. Right.
I
And
mean,
there, I'm sure you've had sessions that you've actually seen that. I have,
yeah,
where they transition and they're like on a different planet, or they're like a different
yes,
tribe on Earth from a long time, where when the soul was getting ready to transition, it was like a complete like, oh my God, you're graduate, like you're leaving. This is so great. And there was like no tears. I mean, of course, there's tears of sadness for the person who's letting them go, but
yeah,
there's so much like, oh, I'm so happy for you, you know?
yeah. I
Yeah.
cannot explain it without, I feel like I must sound like a jerk when I explain that. When I go to funerals, I can feel their lighthearted giddy, like, this is, oh my God, this is so beautiful. I can feel that. And so funerals are a little uncomfortable for me, because I feel giddy and light, where other people are grieving and having a hard time. And I want to go back to what you were saying about your sister, where when you lost her, there was this not knowing where she went, what happened to her soul, what happened to this energy that was a soul connection for you, and not having resources for her, like understanding of that. And that's what I mean, like, as we evolve, we're getting more aware of what is happening. And I think that as humanity, as we keep doing this, we are evolving to that place where everyone will be sad that their loved one isn't there anymore, but they're going to feel that giddiness of the loved one. Because the first time I ever felt it was really confusing for me, because I was about 16 years old,
Oh, wow.
maybe 15. And I was at a funeral for my brother's best friend who got killed in a car accident. Well, this best friend happened to be the same one that helped me evolve with my mediumship. He would come and talk to me every single day. And but at his funeral, I was feeling so lighthearted. I wanted to giggle at everything, like if you're sucking helium or something, or laughing gas. And I'm like, what the heck is happening? And I'm 15 years old, watching everyone else wiping tears and being sad. And I'm like, why can't I feel sad? Why am I not feeling sad?
What's
And it,
wrong with me?
yeah, what's wrong with me? Why am I not sad? Why do I feel giddy and excited, like somebody that's about to go to Disneyland? And I'm like, this is, and I really judged myself for it really hard. And then we went to the cemetery, same thing. It's just like, why can't I? Everyone else is crying and grieving and just struggling with this, and I'm feeling like all lit up. And I'm like, and it took me a little bit of time before finding out what that was about, and connecting with him in spirit, and having him show me, oh yeah, we've had many lifetimes together. In fact, he showed me one where we were married, and he was a clock worker in London. He would fix clocks, and
Oh, wow.
we had a clock shop, and we didn't have any children, and it was just the two of us, and we were really good to each other. And that's why I felt so connected to him, and it helped me understand it. And so that was fascinating too, because at the time I'm like, am I making that up? Is that real? What's happening? So you can see why I got started on the journey I did. right out of the
Yeah.
gate, I wanted to know
Amazing.
more. It's like,
Yeah.
is this connection? And then I end up working in a department store where one of the ladies there did dream analogy and past life. A past life of mine came up through dream analogy, and then that's got me hooked on that, and now I'm here.
And
It's like,
here you are,
yeah. So
Tracie.
all of it, the little stepping stones to get to this place, and there's still so much more I want to know. And it's like, but yeah,
Isn't it
um,
fun work? Isn't it fun work? I don't even
it's
want to call it work, right?
yeah, it's exploration. It's like this beautiful exploration that has bumps in the roads, and sometimes it doesn't feel good, and sometimes it feels wonderful, and sometimes you just get to be in timeout for a while. And so it has all the things. It's quite an experience.
I love it. Well, Tracie, amazing. I love you being on the channel today. We covered so much information.
We
So
were
fun.
all over the board. It's a good
And I
thing we
love
didn't have
it.
a topic. We were just
Well, we kind of had topics and we just were like, oh, and this, but we're just following our intuition, going with it because
yeah,
somebody needed to hear something. So I'm sure someone will definitely go, oh my God, I so needed to hear this right now.
yeah. Yeah, because guys, the topic we were going to talk on, we did about that much.
And,
We did this much of everything else.
and our higher selves had another plan.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, somebody needs to hear this version. But yeah, and so much gratitude for you having me on. And I know we've been
I hear you do
trying
this.
to make that work for a little while. So it worked, and here we are, and what a beautiful experience. Thank
Oh,
you.
I can't wait to have you here again. So thank you so much. If you guys want to book a session for QHHT or an ascension session, I will have Tracie's information below. Thank you so
Thank
much, Tracie. Much love.
thank you, Saba.
Love you.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.